You know what? It's all good. 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 I don't have to worry about it. It's all good. And it's for my good. 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 I don't have to worry about it. It's for my good. And it's all God. 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 I don't have to worry about it. And it's all God. And it's all good. Believe it? It's all good. 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 I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about it. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm not gonna worry about it. I won't worry about it. I won't worry about it. I'm thanking God throughout it. I'm thanking God throughout it. I'm thanking God throughout it. I don't have to worry about it. It's all good. All right. Oh, sure. The presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see love in every face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Surely the presence of the Lord is right here and right now. So as we light the Christ candle and we light that light within us, we open our hearts, we open our minds, and we can feel that presence and power flowing through us, flowing through every thought, flowing through every feeling, flowing down through our body, guiding, healing, and letting us know that we are loved with a love everlasting, with a love and a consciousness that has built the universe. So we give thanks right here and right now for this time, for this presence, for our friends, for this opportunity to be together. Thank you, God. So it is.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power this place.
I always love it when you do that. That song, you know, it just kind of opens you up. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Unity of Chattanooga's Sunday celebration service. My name is Reverend Doug Worth, and I will be your platform assistant this morning. And I'm joined by Landis Batts, the one and only. Thank you so much, Landis. Yeah. You know, it takes quite an effort from so many people to put on a Sunday service. And I want to honor those volunteers who are making all this possible. Eva and Tony, right up front, making sure our Facebook and internet presence is available to everyone out there in Cyberland. And Steve Hastings in the back set up all the sound. And of course, Terry, who is here before the chickens are up in the morning, you know, setting the whole place up. Terry does a fabulous job with that. And of course, the food. I mean, everybody, you know what it's like after service, you know, with all the food. Penny and her group, you know, do all of that. And we have chaplains, of course, available after the service. They have the purple shawls on, and those chaplains are available right after the service for any prayers that you might have or you want to be with. And of course, we have a board of trustees always behind the scenes making sure that everything goes well. Our special guest speaker this morning is Annie Sims. Andy, if you just want to raise your hand there. Hey. Okay. She and her husband Greg have joined us coming down from Knoxville this morning, and we'll have a little bit more about Annie in just a few minutes. First of all, I want to welcome everybody who's watching us this service through Facebook this morning. Please say hello in the comment section and be sure to give us a thumbs up, which will trigger all those algorithms in the cloud so that we're on the top of those search lists. And please feel free to communicate with each other during the service. And for those of you who are watching us live, if you know of someone that you think would appreciate this message, we invite you to share our services simply by hitting the share button. And if you're joining us here this morning for the very first time, or if you're joining us for the first time in a long time, or are relatively new to Unity of Chattanooga, there's a welcome package in the back. On the back table, it will give you a little more information about Unity as a church and as a spiritual movement, and you're welcome to take one home. Now, there's a paper in the back of that package that you can fill out and put in the offering basket at the end of the service if you'd like to receive our bi-monthly newsletter. So is there anyone here for the very first time? Just raise your hand. We have a special greeting for you. Okay, well, from our hearts to yours, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. And when we say the Christ in you, it's that presence of God that is within each one of us that Jesus, as the Christ, demonstrated so beautifully in his life. Well, Unity of Chattanooga is part of a worldwide network of Unity churches founded in the late 1800s by Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. And the Fillmores started studying Jesus' teachings in the Bible in an effort to overcome a variety of personal difficulties and to improve their lives. And through study and personal spiritual practice, what they found was so transformational that they dedicated their lives to developing and teaching what they termed practical Christianity. And that's how Unity started. And today, Unity is a progressive and inclusive spiritual community, embracing both the traditional teachings of Jesus and the modern scientific and psychological principles of a healthy and inspired lifestyle. We emphasize prayer and meditation, personal study and growth, living consciously, and making a positive difference in the world. We are here to grow and to transform our lives, and as we do, we believe that we not only transform ourselves, but we transform those around us. And as those are transformed, we transform the world. It's a beautiful teaching. So anyways, enough of that. Now it's time to say hello to all those people around here. Time to greet your neighbor with a handshake or a hug. Just say hello to everybody. For 3 minutes only.
Just the way you are. I am not afraid to love you. I am not afraid to show my heart. I am not afraid to love you. Just the way it's about love, it's all about love. 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 I am not afraid to love you. I am not afraid to show my heart. I am not afraid to love you just the way you are. I am not afraid to love you. I am not afraid to show my heart. I am not afraid to love you just the way you are. You say you just can't find me. You've been searching high and low, from one place to another, for the truth you want to know. You walk away half empty. Something doesn't quite ring true. You look for other answers, a different point of view. You say you just can't hear me, though I'm talking all the time. You listen and you know me in a book or in a rhyme, and the questions you can't answer, and more than you can see. I'm right here with you always. You just don't know it's me. I am the wind, I am the rain, I am the love in all your pain. I am the earth, I am the air, I am the hope in your despair. I am everything, everywhere. You say you just can't feel me. There's an emptiness inside. You can't tell what's missing, yet I know how hard you've tried. And the thrill of every lover, and the joy of every friend is through the touch I'm giving, the love that's without end. I am the wind, I am the rain, I am the love in all your pain. I am the earth, I am the air, I am the hope in your despair. I am everything, everywhere. You only have to realize your yearnings are my own. I'm the still small voice inside of you, the one you've always known. I am the wind, I am the rain, I am the love in all your pain. I am the earth, I am the air, I am your thought in all your prayers. I am everything, everything. I am everything, everything. I am everything, everywhere. Everybody, that's a Annie Sims song right there. Yeah, she has the most,
That's one of her songs?
one of her songs.
Oh, fabulous.
Ah, yes. You want to give us a little bit? Here's your key. Here's your key.
Here's a microphone.
I am.
Wow.
I am. You want to? A little bit. Just the chorus. I am.
I am the wind.
Yeah.
Not on yet. Oh. I am the wind. I am the rain. I am the love in all your pain. I am the earth. I am the air. I am the hope in your despair.
Yeah.
I am everything, everywhere.
Yeah.
Thank you for learning that. My gosh, it was a co-write with my husband, Greg Sims. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, you. Shit. Thank you. Oh, wow. You are so welcome. I enjoyed it.
Why don't you just hold on to this, because you're going to be up next. Oh, man.
Give it to her.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a little bit about her so that you know who's coming up here. She has composed and performed inspirational songs since 2005 when she toured 8 countries in Europe with best-selling author of Conversations with God, Neil Donald Walsh. She served as music director of the Music City Center for Spiritual Living. I think that was in Nashville. Okay. has won a Posse Award from Empower Music and Arts, a Discovery Award from Music Row magazine, and a Seal of Excellence from the Positive Music Association. Now, you were born and raised in this area, I think, in a Southern girl. That's great. But she and Greg is her husband, he's with her this morning, relocated to Los Angeles in 2014, where she presented the music and the message for a variety of centers of spiritual living and unity churches across Southern California. Annie has taught Conversations with God classes for 2 years at the Nashville Center for Spiritual Living, founded and facilitated a Conversations with God group in LA, and currently serves as vice president of the Conversations with God Foundation. She's an author and instructor of the Conversations with God online school and is one of only 4 CWG life coaches chosen by Neale Donald Walsch. She's written a book called Wisdom That Works, How to Use the Message of these books of Conversations with God, and Neale Donald Walsch wrote the foreword to her book. And this book is based on the foundational tenet: if you do not go within, you go without. All that is great, but that's not the best part. Annie is part of a band, and the band is called California Dreamin'. Here is their business card, okay, with the information on the back. I'm sure she's got a few, and I'll pass out a few that I have. But on Friday night, we had Penny and I and my mom over here had an opportunity to see them in concert up at Tellico Village. And it's all 60s and 70s music. Now, just so that you get the idea, I have Sirius XM on our car radios. And there are 2 stations I go back and forth to. The oldies 60s and the oldies 70s. So this was perfect. They did the Beach Boys as good as the Beach Boys ever did. You know, they did, I mean, the whole thing was great. I was just sitting there listening, and when we walked in, I got this slow smile that started on my face, and it just never went away. It was there the whole night. So you and the band are performing in the area for the next month or so. And I just want to tell you, August 18th, which is a Friday, 7 to 10 at Tellico Village Yacht Club, and Tuesday, August 29th at the Lake Tansy Resort, which is near Crossville. And their website is CaliforniaDreaminBand.com. And if you're a 60s and 70s fan, I just highly recommend it. And if a number of you come up and talk to me, I'm renting a bus. we're going to go see it. And just for the heck of it, one of my favorite songs of all time is called San Francisco by Scott McKenzie in 1967. And I was graduating from high school at that time. And the thing about that song, in San Francisco in the late 60s, there was a Hare Krishna movement going on. And when they sang that song, you could hear the sitars and some of the Hare Krishna bells in the background. That's what you will hear in the song. And that's what you guys did. It was perfect. It was good as Scott McKenzie ever did it. So I would encourage each and every one of you, if you are so inclined, make sure that you take them up on that. So without further ado, Annie Sims.
Are you going to tell that story?
You want to?
I want you to just tell that story real quick.
Okay. I told Annie a story. As you know, she's very connected with Conversations with God, Neale Donald Walsch. How many here are familiar with that? Just about everybody. Okay. So there I was. Most of you know that I was in manufacturing for many years. I had a 30-year manufacturing career running manufacturing facilities. And I believe it was in the 90s. We haven't quite figured out what the date is yet.
Actually, 95 is when the book came out. Cinco de Mayo 95.
Okay, so this was at least 95, 96, somewhere in there. And I'd been running plants for a while, but there was something else going on inside me, which everybody knows about in the ministry. And I was on a ski vacation out in Colorado, and I was waiting in the airport, the Denver airport, in between flights. And I had a knot in my tail. You know, yes, I was well compensated and running businesses, but there was something else going on. One of those internal struggles. And as I sat there and had time on my hands, I did some prayer work. And I just, went to that quiet place and said, I need to talk to God. And I said it a couple different ways. And it was very brief. And then just said amen and sat there. Nothing. And I figured, well, I got time on my hands. I might as well look around. So I started walking around the Denver airport. Noticed a bookstore. Walked in the bookstore. And of course, you walk in a bookstore, they've got all kinds of books on the front and everything. Nothing there. And I'm walking around. Finally, I went back to this one aisle. Up on the top shelf. Conversations with God. Bought the book, went back, and I think I read it cover to cover over the next airplane flight, whatever. The point is, when you ask, you'll receive. And one of the greatest books and people out there is Neil Donald Walsch with his particular story. And one of the great people that we have right here and right now, Annie Sims. Come on up. Tell us all about it.
You are too kind. Well, thank you all so much. Yes, we feel incredibly warmly welcomed here, and I think I know where my next church is now that I'm in East Tennessee, when I can drive that far on a Sunday. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming out in the rain. The reason I asked Doug to share that story is because I have a somewhat similar one of how I became acquainted with Conversations with God. My older sister, Nancy, who is certifiably Mensa, got a hold of Conversations with God first. And she said, I want everyone in my family to read this. Now, I just have to tell you, my sister is one of these people who is not easily impressed. But by that point, we had grown up in the Episcopal Church. I'm from Morristown, y'all. So we'd grown up in that church, and it was the Church of Love. But when I went to UT, all the philosophy classes, whatever, my faith was stripped away. So I had been agnostic for a number of years. And so when Nancy said, I want all y'all to read this, I'm thinking to myself, God, schmud, I don't believe in God. What is this? So anyway, she, at 39, became pregnant. And so she had her baby. And I flew Greg and I were living in Orlando at the time. I flew to Dallas to see the baby. Spent a week with her. And then by this time, book 3 had come out, Conversations with God, book 3. And it was time to go to bed. And she came padding out of her bedroom in her robe and slippers holding this book. And she pushed it in my hands and said, here, just pick a page, any page. I was just like, whatever. So I'm like, okay. So I just opened it up and I read one paragraph, and it was like that cartoon where it goes, I was like, oh my gosh. She said, I told you. And I said, can I take this back to bed with me? She said, yes. So I did, and wherever I was in the book, I stayed up almost all night. And then she had to take me to the airport the next morning. She wanted her book back. She was still reading it. And I'm like, okay. And now this was a long time ago, whatever year it was, but way before we had all the security that we have at airports now. So the Dallas-Fort Worth airport, they could just drive you to a gate. And so she dropped me off at my gate, and they had one of those, I think it was the Spirit of the Wild Horse or whatever the Native American, is that it? With the, yeah, I found a necklace and a belt. It was a clothing shop. And I go up to the counter, and right there it is, Doug. Only book in the whole store, book 3 on a display. I said, I'll take that. I'm like, I started from the first page, and then I won't go into any more. But fortunately, Greg decided the next day to join me in the adventure of reading these books. So, of course, we read that one, went back to the first one and the second one, and then just my sister Nancy and I were just waiting with bated breath for every book to come out. So I would like to see a show of hands if you've read book 1. Okay, keep it up. If you have you read book 2? Okay, have you read book 3? Have you read Friendship with God? Have you? Wow, I've got 2 of you are left standing, sitting. Have you read Communion? Oh, 3 of you. Have you read Communion with God? Wow, y'all are great. Okay, which ones have you not read should be the question at this point. From there, we have the new revelations. We have what God wants. We have tomorrow's God. We have home with God in a life that never ends. And that's when Greg and I toured with Neil to Europe. He was writing Home with God in a life that never ends. And it's all about the circle of life. If you imagine the infinity, the number 8 on its side becomes the infinity symbol. And we have the realm of the physical. We have the realm of the spiritual. We have the realm of illusion. We have the realm of the absolute. We have the realm of the relative or relativity. We have the realm of the absolute. I think I messed one up there. Anyway, you get the picture. Here's where we are on this side. And this little point in the number 8 that goes back to home, which is where we all came from, which is where we're all going back to. This little thing is just a doorway that swings both ways, y'all. Birth, death, birth, death, birth, death, back and forth. We are eternal beings. And you know why this is? Because there is only one. And so the 3 foundational tenets from Conversations with God, the basic ones, it's called the 3 statements of ultimate truth. Number 1 is we are all one, and that's with a big capital O. That is the granddaddy of all of them. If you could only know one thing from Conversations with God, that's what he wants you to know. We are all one, and that's why I love unity. And by the way, to give you a little backstory, how these books became what they are, it was largely thanks to Unity churches across the United States. So let me give you a little background about Neale Donald Walsch. He had been homeless for almost a year because he broke his neck in a car wreck and had to wear a Philadelphia collar and lost his job, and no one would hire him. I mean, he had to wear that thing for over a year. But so he was homeless in Southern Oregon, and he lived in a tent. At least he had a tent. But he was one of those people getting cans out of trash cans to take back for money and everything. And here is this genius, y'all. And he had multiple successful careers, all kinds of things. As we're talking with Mr. Miller time, he had been a radio announcer and maybe program director even. I mean, he'd done a lot of things. He'd done theater. He's a fabulous actor and director. Anyway, but he got his life back together through a miracle. By the way, if you want to know about that, there's a movie called Conversations with God. You have it. Oh, it's so good. And that's the true story. I mean, he saw a job application in radio on the newspaper in his tent, and he called, and she's like, "How did you know? We haven't advertised that yet." He said, "It's right here in the paper." And he looked, and he had like a year-old paper or a 2-year-old newspaper. I know, that's how he got the job. But anyway, so that's how he got back on his feet. Well, fast forward a little bit, he's out of work again. And not only is he out of work again, his health is failing again. And not only is his health failing again, another relationship that he thought was his lifetime woman was ending. So he got what he calls the triple whammy. And that's when he was broken enough to be open enough to hear the voice.
And so he was roughly 50, and it was the middle of the night, and he woke up probably 4:30 in the morning is when these messages all started coming to him every night after this. But the first night, he was so mad. He stomps out to the living room, and he starts venting on a piece of paper. He's like, God, I want some answers. What does it take to make life work? And I mean it. I'm sick and tired of this. I've tried everything. What are you going to put me through? Vented for like 20 minutes on a notepad. And the last thing he said was, I mean it. I want some answers or I am out of here. And he was at that point. And so the interesting thing was, he got it all off his chest on paper. And he realized he couldn't let go of that pen. Couldn't put it down. He's like, that's weird. I can't put the pen down. And then he heard a voice over his right shoulder that said, Neil, do you really want an answer to these questions, or are you just venting? And he spun his head around, and no one's there that he can see. But he says, well, yes, I'm venting, but I sure as hell want some answers. And he heard, the next thing he heard was, you're sure as hell about a lot of things? Are you sure as heaven about anything? And with that, he said, well, what's that supposed to mean? And that's when it all started gushing in, y'all. I mean, it was just, he's like, slow down, slow down, slow down. I can't get it all out. So the voice slowed down, and it became question, answer, question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. And it went on. And it went on every night. He'd wake up at 4:30 every night and write. And he never dreamed this was going to be a book. But God told him it was. And he said, this is going to become a book. And it's become a bestseller. And he's like, yeah, right. So anyway, but I think he probably had the first 3 written before he got someone to transcribe them. And we know who it was. And she came back to him and said, Neil, what is this? This is amazing. It's like, well, this is just what I've been getting. So anyway, on a dare from God, because God had told him this is going to become best-selling books, he sent it to publishers that he thought were of like mind. And he sent it to Hampton Roads? Yeah. And they sent it back with a form letter that said, not our format. And now that really made him mad, because he's like, this is to their format. So he just sent it right back, and he said, just pick a page, any page. Next thing you knew, he got the book deal. And the interesting thing about how he got the book deal was, it was Robert Friedman's company, and his son Jonathan Friedman was working with him. Well, Jonathan went into Dad's office and saw the manuscript sitting there that said Conversations with God. He had just written an essay for college called Conversations with God. He said, Dad, I have to read this. And he took it home and he read it all week, and he went back on Monday and said, Dad, you're publishing this book. And so they sent it to Unity Churches for free. That's how it took off. So you all are to thank for that. Seriously, thank you. I thank you all from Unity for doing this for the world. And now they've been translated into 37 languages. The first book one was on the New York Times bestseller list for 37 weeks. I didn't even make that, 137 weeks. Thank you, Greg. He keeps me straight. That's why I let him tag along and drive me. But I didn't even make that connection that 37 was in both of those until I was compiling stuff to Cindy the other day. But so if you haven't read them, I so wholeheartedly invite you just to pick a page, any page. Take the dare. Take the Nancy dare and see for yourself. So back to we are all one is the foundational tenet, which, of course, is what Unity espouses and Centers for Spiritual Living. Interestingly, so does many mainstream religions, although they don't realize it. What does Genesis say? God is omnipresent, which means everywhere present. Everything, everywhere. Thank you. What a surprise. That was just, wait a minute. I'm like, I know that song. Which one is that? I know. But so, I don't even know where you heard that. Oh, the live performance for Music City, where I was playing and singing it on piano. Oh yeah, that was yeah okay. I didn't post it, but yeah, the ministers at Music City Center for Spiritual Living put that up there. I'm lost. Oh yeah, about there's no spot where God is not. I mean, that's what the Bible says, but I think it's kind of gotten forgotten. That part's been forgotten. Well, the thing is, it looks like we're separate. It looks like Penny's over there and I'm over here. But it's really Penny, Annie, and the space between. See, we think everything is duality here. It's not. Everything is threes. The three in one, the triune truth is what Conversations with God calls it. Here, there, the space in between. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Physical, spiritual, metaphysical. It just goes on and on. Everything is in threes, but it's all within a great big one. It's all one. And so here in the realm of the physical, we all seem so separate, but we're not, because it's all energy. And does energy stop? No, but it does localize itself. So that's why my energy can be totally different than your energy, or although in this room we probably all pretty similar energy, but we get out there in the big world, we see a lot of other than type energies. They're still God, and they are still worthy of our love, and that's the best thing we can do. You know, love cures all of it. And Conversations with God, I'm getting way off topic. I just hope that's okay. Conversations with God, one thing that really surprised me was it said there's only love, and I would have thought hate. No, it's fear. Love and fear. But everything's still love. Fear is just a forgetting of that we are love, and that is who we are at our core. So we're all one. The second foundational tenet from Conversations with God in the 3 statements of ultimate truth is even fewer than the 4 words, we're all one. It's only 2 words. There's enough. There's enough. There is no lack in the universe. And what I love about this whole teaching is it makes logical sense to my mind. It's those faith traditions that ask us to follow blind faith when everything inside me screaming, that doesn't make any sense. This all makes sense. If God is all there is, does God need anything? God's needless. God can't need anything. God is source and supply of all of it. So therefore, guess who else is needless? It looks like I need things. It looks like I need to eat. It looks like I need shelter. It looks like I need these things. In truth, we don't, because we're spirit, and spirit cannot be destroyed. Energy can be neither created nor destroyed. Therefore, we, as aspects of the one, are also needless. And in the book Communion with God, who had their hand up that they read communion? Yeah. What's the first? It's the Communion with God has the 10 statements, the 10 illusions of humans. The first one is need exists. That's an illusion. There is no need. There are many. The 10 illusions: need exists, failure exists, superiority exists, condemnation exists, requirement exists. And the difference in need and requirement is if God requires something of us. And that leads me to the third statement of ultimate truth, which is there's nothing you have to do. There's no requirement. So I gave this talk, well, actually it was an interview at the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. And that one tripped up the minister and her husband. They're like, what do you mean? There's nothing to do. I said, I didn't say there's nothing to do. I'm doing stuff all the time. I said, there's nothing you have to do. Does anyone here besides me put a lot on themselves sometimes? Do you should on yourself? Do you say, I should do this, I should do that? Well, is it your thought about it that you should do something, or did somebody put it on you? You know, a lot of time people should on us. Yeah. Let's not should on ourselves. Put that Pampers on. Don't go there. So those are the three statements of ultimate truth. So that, it's probably been done. It's probably been done. So this book also came as being told that it was going to happen to someone who didn't ever think they were going to have a book published. So thank you so much for going into that whole biography with Neil. So he called me one day. Greg and I were living in Nashville at the time. And he said, I have two dreams in my life that I have yet to fulfill. One is Conversations with God TV, and the other one is Conversations with God online school. And I want you to write it. And I want you to take the 25 core concepts from Conversations with God and write a lesson for each, and then do homework questions. And we're going to create an online school, and we'll post your lessons, and students will work back and forth with you, and you'll be the online instructor of it. I'm like, that sounds really cool. I like that idea. And then the last thing he said before we hung up the phone, and this will someday become a book. So as I put the phone down, I'm like, wow, here it is. So it was a long time coming. I had already had the school up and running for a number of years. And then I got the idea to write a book called The Voice Heard Round the World, because I started having students tell me about their own messages from the divine that they would get, and life coaching clients. And I would invite them, go within. You'll hear the answers. And they'd share them with me, and they're amazing. So I told Neil about this when we were facilitating one of his retreats, which, by the way, he lives in Ashland, Oregon. I love that we drove Ashland Terrace to get here. I'm like, that's a good sign. Yeah. So we were in Ashland. I said, Neil, I have this idea for this other book. And he said, make it a combined book. So that's what we did. Me and God, I guess. So at the end of what I did is, this book is essentially the lessons that are in the CWG Online School. They're really the same. And then I have a postscript from what I call The Voice, from people from around the world who have sent them to me. And I've lined them up, matched them up with the lessons. So they really cement in. Y'all, if you ever have a problem, anything weighing on your mind or on your heart, you don't need to ask anybody else for answers. You just get quiet. And I love what you said. You didn't hear anything. Okay, I'm just going to go take a walk. Well, who told you to take that walk? Who told you to look up on that shelf? Oh, I got to go back over here. Penny's like, get back over there. People are at home. Okay, I'll stay put. My high school choir director would always be like, stand still, Annie. Okay. Impossible. But anyway, we're all guided. All we got to do is pay attention to the guidance. And sometimes the guidance sucks. Sometimes it's hard as hell to follow. Leaving Nashville, following my guidance to go to California, broke my heart. But I'm so glad I did it. Just given the benefit of time, we see the perfection of everything. I have a question for the room. It's okay if the answer is yes. Has anyone in here ever experienced something so difficult that, given the benefit of time, you haven't seen a blessing or gift in the experience? Is there anything that's happened to you in your life that you're still saying that shouldn't have happened? Yeah? All right. Well, then I'd like to talk to you and help you reframe it. Because even the hardest things I've ever gone through, and there have been a few of them, I'm now grateful for them. So if you're at a place that you'd like to talk, I'm a coach. I'm happy to talk to you to help you find a gift in the experience. Because the saddest thing for me is to see someone walking around with an old story that's blocking them from their greatest life. The 5 attitudes of God, according to this material, the first one is joy. And when we're carrying around an old story, it's hard to feel joyful. God is always joyful, loving, accepting, blessing. Guess what the 5th one is? Grateful. Grateful. Yeah. Joyful, loving, accepting, blessing, and grateful. And Conversations with God also invites us to choose our state of being. So you could choose it before you get out of bed. Today I'm going to be grateful. Today I'm going to be compassionate. Today I'm going to be wise. Whatever floats your boat that day. And it can also really be a helpful thing to choose your state of being before going into a potentially stressful situation or just something that you're out of your comfort zone. Another quote that I love that's been big for me is from this is life begins at the end of your comfort zone. I got to play Wheel of Fortune when I was in LA. And I realized shortly before I went on stage to play, I didn't choose my state of being yet. And I thought, well, what do I want to be? I thought, I'll just be all 5 of those. So, perfect to be joyful. That's what they want in a game show contestant. So I decided I'm going to be joyful no matter what happens. I'm going to accept if I play terribly and don't win anything. I'm going to be grateful for whatever. I'm going to bless my other players. It turned out pretty good. I'm driving the car. And I had more fun than you can shake a stick at. It was the most fun. And because we were on the Pacific time, I didn't even think about they start airing it 3 hours earlier Eastern time. We were having a big watch party at my house. Well, I start getting the phone starts ringing 3 hours before. It's like, you did great. I'm like, oh, yeah, you've seen it already. So, Eastern time, they started coming. Central time, they came again. Mountain time, I'm getting more calls. And anyway, it's a great thing to do, to choose your state of being. And I invite you to choose joy first and just light up the room. And I don't even know what time it is, but I think it's probably time to wrap it up. One thing that I would like to invite you all to do with me, this is really my only challenge right now. And I think you all are a wonderful group. I can just feel it. And I would like for y'all to hold the vision of this for me, and I'll hold the vision of this for you. That we stay steadfast in our knowing with all that's going on around us, because there's a lot that we could be very disturbed about. I'm sure it's that way in every day and time. But right now there's a lot that we could be disturbed about. So stay steadfast in your love. Remember, love solves everything. There's no problem so big that it can't be solved with more love. And I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
Was that great or what? Yeah. How many people want her back? Yeah, there we go. Oh, man. So you want to do a meditation, or what would you like to do? You want to do a meditation? Huh? Oh, would you like to sing a song? Do you have one that you can sing? I hear you're a really good piano player.
She is. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's just do a short meditation
Okay.
and just let all this settle in for a moment. Conversations with God. Think for a moment of a time not so long ago when you thought there was a problem in your life. You didn't know what to do. And so, in a quiet moment, there's the flush. You just let it go.
That's perfect. Let it go.
Oh man, you gotta love this place. Yep. Yeah. And that's what God does. God just flushes it away. Yeah. Yeah, just let it go. Let it go. And what I can tell you from my experience, at 4:30 in the morning, not every morning, but many, I look at the clock, 4:30, 4:45. So many times that digital clock will say 444. 444 is the code for angels. And my story is that I kept waking up at 4:44 every morning many years ago. And I told my minister at the time, and he said, "Doug, that's angels." Penny and I went to get our license plates at Seattle because we were moving. We got a license plate that said MAR 444. And we puzzled about the MAR. We figured, well, wonder what that was all about. And I showed it to the minister, and he said, "That's Mary." There are no coincidences. There is only God. And God is right here and right now, just as we heard this morning with such beautiful stories. It was Neil Donald Walsh's journey. It's been Annie's journey. It's been my journey. It's been your journey. And so I want you to relax, release, take a deep breath right now, and simply know that God is here. God is here. Speaking to you right now. Thank you, God. So it is.
Lead me, God. Lead me to righteousness. Make the way plain before my face. Lead me, oh God, lead me to righteousness. Make the way plain before my face.
I feel so good right now. I hope you guys do too. We just kind of mellowed and it's great. Well, this is the time in our service when we just open our hearts, open our minds, open our wallets, and just give from a feeling of abundance. Simply knowing that our tithes and our offerings go to not only support this church, but as this church is supported, each one of you is supported, and through you our families and our friends are supported. So I invite you to take your tithes and your offerings and your gift in your hand and just simply repeat with me together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love, and I receive in abundance. Let the ushers come forward.
I am unlimited. I am divine. I am source energy, completely mine. Oh, in consciousness that all you feel, so lack can never be. I'm holding you.
So once again, we give thanks for these tithes and these offerings, and we know that they come forth from a heart filled and overflowing with abundance. And they go forth to bless each and every one of us. And through us, our friends, our families, the city, and the world. Thank you, God. So it is. Amen.
I am unlimited. I am divine. I am source energy, completely mine. Aware in consciousness that all you feel, so lack can never be. I'm holding you, so lack can never be. I'm holding you.
Fabulous. Oh, man. Well, just a couple of brief announcements. First of all, if you want one of Annie's business cards, I have several in my pocket, and all the contact information is on the back. So those are available. Usually on Sunday mornings about 10:30, we have Moving with Spirit with Laura Noyes, and it's a gentle meditational movement, and Laura does it just absolutely beautifully. So I'd invite you to show up a little bit early for the service and go through that meditational practice. There's information on the back table concerning our annual Unity Retreat called Enlighten Up. And this is from October 3rd to October 6th at Lake Junaluska in North Carolina. If you're interested in attending, remember that early bird registration ends on August 15th. So that's coming right up. Just as a little bit of information about that, the keynote speaker will be Reverend Jim Blake, who is the Unity Worldwide Headquarters CSO. And he's about as big as an NFL nose guard. And his heart is just as big. So, I mean, he's a great speaker. On opening night, Darlene Strickland, who's the minister of Unity of Blue Ridge, she and her Blue Ridge Band will be there. And their lead singer is a lady by the name of Kat Williams, who just knocks it out of the park. I have been over to their services a couple of times, and it's fabulous. I mean, it's not 60s and 70s music, but it is as good as it gets. And then Wednesday night, Reverend Maggie Whitehouse will be the speaker, and here's what she said. She's a specialist in Judeo-Christian mysticism, And she's been widowed, divorced, healed from cancer, worked as a hospice chaplain, ridden on a Bengal tiger, something I haven't done. I've survived a barracuda attack off the Barrier Reef, and at age 56, she started working as a stand-up comedian and was a finalist in the 2015 UK Funny Women Awards. So that's got to be a hoot. So I would invite you to sign up for that if you haven't. I've been going to those retreats for many years now, and they're absolutely fabulous. Phaedra, did you want to give a little brief announcement? Okay, step right up. I will adjust the mic for you. We just push it down about a foot.
Yes, that's about right.
There you go.
I have often thought, Rev Doug, that Landis and Cat Williams should do something together.
Oh, man. That would be...
Williams. I'm thinking of the
No,
comedian.
not the comedian.
Okay.
No.
That'd be messy, all right?
Yeah. So, it seems like it was just yesterday that I was standing in front of you with a group of ladies and with Eric and Laura Miller, and we were celebrating the end of the spring Spirit Group series. And it's time now already to kick off for the fall series. So let me tell you what we've got so far. Nicole Wellington is going to facilitate the group that's based on the book, The Designer Life. And listen to the subtitle. Distinctions for Living Life by Design and Not by Default. It's a super book. It's a great series. Nicole is going to be facilitating that group on Wednesday evenings starting at 5:30 on Zoom. And I have selected to, talking about everybody being one, I have selected the book Divine Audacity. And if you're familiar with Reverend Linda Martella Whitsett, that's one of her books. And in that book she says, we struggle with saying that I'm divine. I am one with the one. But she finds that a lot of people have a struggle with that. And so this book is going to be about the 12 powers and how to really live deep and live boldly, to live a bold spiritual life. And so that's going to be that spirit group, and it's going to be on Thursdays at 4 o'clock. It will also be on Zoom. Would you like a local option? Would anybody be willing to facilitate a local option? Your face here. So if you live here locally, like Nicole and I, we live about an hour away. But if you live here locally and you're interested in hosting a local group, please see me afterwards. It's not too late to get just a quick training and show you how to work the video and that kind of stuff. It's all video based. Some discussion questions, good fellowship, good fun together. There is a handout on the back table. More information about spirit groups and what they are on the back. And we'd love to have you. You can sign up early. Next week, we'll do the kickoff videos.
Yep.
Thank you.
Couple of things for me, really, really quick. Annie, do you have any books available? Yay, Annie has books in the back. And next Saturday night, if anybody's free, the band that I sing songs with, the Mailmen, we're at Riverfront Nights next Saturday night, and we start at the show starts around 7, so we'll be on around 8. So if you can come out next Saturday night, that'll be fun.
Well, and where
It's
is
rowdy.
it again?
Down on the riverfront,
Okay.
where Riverbend is, that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, the aquarium. Yeah, the little stadium thing or whatever. Yeah, Ross's Landing. Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. I
Oh,
forgot to tell Penny. We could have put it in the things,
Okay.
but there you go.
One more thing. For those of you who've been with us for a while, if you are interested in becoming a member of Unity of Chattanooga, please sign up. There's a sign-up sheet on the back. And coming a little bit later this fall, we'll be having a new member orientation, a little shorter this time, maybe just a couple of 1-hour little things. And so anyways, if you're interested, if you're not a member of Unity of Chattanooga and you would like to be, please sign up on that, and we'll give you a little bit of intro a little later. Yes, we just announced that. It's nice that everybody's listening, yes.
Woo! Y'all are a married couple this morning. I'll tell you what.
I think I'm living in my garage now.
Woo!
Well, let's stand and sing our peace song.
God. Let there be peace on and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be with God our Creator. In oneness all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me.
And together our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And just remember, as you go forward this week, there is a conversation with God. All you have to do is listen. Have a great week.
Yeah.